you doing? So today, in this second free webinar, I want to teach you how to join woven squares, 4x4 inches spin loom squares, and make this gorgeous animal print bag. So in the blog, I detail all instructions to make these woven pieces with the animal print pattern, okay? After you read that blog post, you can follow this video and learn how to join those pieces and make this gorgeous animal print bag, okay? So let's start. This is the animal print pattern that you can free download from the blog post. Okay, so more details to weave your patterns in a 4x4 inches spin loom as the Zoom Loom, or weave it, or one you can make on your own. And then you have two patterns because this pattern is made by two. It's a double pattern. You have Leopard A and Leopard B. So they are similar but not the same. The idea is that you join them, okay, make one and the other, and alternate them in the woven bag, and then you will have the idea or the something most similar to a leopard pattern. Okay, so this is more or less what you will find, and no instructions about how to join them and make the bag, because this is what I am going to show you now. Now about materials. First, print the double pattern. Second, you require a 4x4 inches spin loom, like the Zoom Loom or Weave It, which are commercial brands. The important thing is the size, that it is a 4x4 inches spin loom, and also the alignment of the pins or nails. In this case it's in trios, see? And also in this case, also this is a homemade one, it is in trios. So any of either one, or you can find another commercial brands that has the same pin looms, okay? You also require a tapestry needle, a 3 inches yarn needle, a crochet, which is useful sometimes, and also a scissor, simple one, okay? What else? Yarn, of course. What yarn? So for these pin looms we use DK or worsted. It is the ideal thickness. It is number 4 from the Yarn Craft Council classification. In this case I used yarn from Malabrigo yarn, okay? This is a DK yarn and this is a worsted. It's not the same thickness but very similar, and they work fine together. This is, if you want to know, this is Jupiter, and this is Pelkaki, okay? Which is the result? This gorgeous 4x4 inches spin loom piece. This is one of the two patterns, okay? You need to make both. What about colors? You need to find contrasting colors. Even though animal prints are sometimes shades of brown, not too contrasting, it is very important that you use contrasting colors or the pattern won't be noticeable at all, okay? So all your work, which is quite a lot, will be lost, okay? I used burgundy instead of the shades of brown, which is more typical of animal print, because I thought this way it could be more modern and not too common, okay? This is my choice. So now, before you start weaving the pieces for your bag, it is important to decide which size of bag you will make, because in both cases you have to make several woven pieces. For example, a woven square like this takes at least 15-20 minutes, really depends on the experience you have. So to make this bag I used 44 woven pieces. Do the math, it's a lot of time, but you can make a small version using only 27, which is a small bag but useful in any case. Okay, so first decide 44 or 27. So what you've got pattern A, pattern B, which are woven squares, right? Okay, so you make the same quantity of number A and number B, depending on which bag you're going to make. Bag with 44 units, which is the big one, or the bag with 27 units, which is the small one. So if you're making the big bag, this is the way you have to position the squares. So you have pattern A, B, A, B, A, B, okay, like a chess surface, okay, just the same. So first you have to put the most part of them, only 40 units together like this, and this other 4 will be the gusset. So don't join them yet, just position the first 40 like this. But if you're not making the big version, your choice was the small one. This is the way you have to make the pieces, okay? Like a small chest here with 24 units and then 3 at the end. In this case, in the small bag, you will be making 14 units of pattern A and 13 of pattern B, or the opposite. It really depends on you, okay? In any case, all details and instructions will be included in the blog post part 2 of this animal print bag project. So now that you know the size of the bag you're going to make, which will be small or big, you need to know how to join those squares. So I just showed you how to position the squares, A, B, okay, alternating them. But now you need to know how to join those squares, because the way you join vertical lines is different than the way you join horizontal lines, because the upper and lower edge, which are different than the right and left edges, okay? So that is why you need to join them in different ways that I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so to join all the pieces, we're going to use the web stitch, which works differently if you're joining vertical edges or horizontal edges, right? Okay, so first for the vertical edges, let's suppose you have one piece here in the left side and one in the right side. So we're going to join both together, okay? Right and left edge or left and right edge, which is the same. So in green, we are showing the sewing yarn, which has to be the same color, but for the purpose of this class, we're using a different color so you can see the contrast. Then you have the warp is in beige here and weft is in burgundy, right? So it is very easy to join vertical edges with the web stitch, because if you take a look here, the loops of the weft are parallel, okay? So it's just taking the pair from one side and the other together and pass the yarn needle. Again, pass through both, pass through both, pass through both, pass through both. Start and finish with a knot, and that's it, okay? Quite easy. But now it's a little bit tricky when you need to join pieces from the upper, putting together upper and lower edges, okay, which are horizontal edges. So let's suppose we have a piece here and another just under it, okay? This is just a piece of piece, but let's suppose we have one here and then one under that one. So if you take a look, here we have in beige the warp lines, and the weft is in burgundy, again the same colors, but in this case the loops of the warp here in beige are not parallel with the ones of the other piece, of the piece that is under that one, okay? They are like alternated, like a puzzle, see? So in order to make the whip stitch, you need to first make a knot here on the right side and then try to find the way to make them parallel, okay? So you join this pair of two warp lines together with this weft burgundy, and then the middle of this two weft loops with this weft burgundy line, and the same and the same and so on. Okay, so if you take a look, the sewing line is quite vertical. Okay, vertical stitches of sewing. So that is the way you make the whip stitch. So now that you know how to make the sewing of the horizontal and the vertical edges, you need to make a tab. So you saw that you need to position the pieces depending on the quantity of woven pieces you have, like a big rectangle, horizontal rectangle. So once you have that, they are all joined, then you have to fold it to the right or left, fold it horizontally, and make the sewing and have a tab. Okay, a cylinder or a tab. Once you have that tab, it's very easy. You just have to add the bottom gasset. In case of the big bag, you need to add 4 pieces, and if you're making the small bag, just 3, and that will be the bottom gasset, and join it doing the whip stitch the same. Now that you have all the pieces joined, okay, your bag quite finished, you need to fold the edges. Take a look like this. You fold them like leaving a small piece of 1 inch. Okay, so it's a great part of 1 piece inside. And once you have that, you need to make a whip stitch again using the thinner yarn you have, a whip stitch all around, all the way around. Okay, so that way you have a firm edge to finish your woven bag. Now you have to make the braided handle, okay, which is very easy. First, position your bag like this, okay, with 4 woven pieces looking at you, and then you need to find this corner here of pieces, one corner here and the other one here. You have 4 pieces in between, and in case of the small bag you have 3. Will be like this in case of the bag, smaller bag. Okay, so once you find that spot, you can mark it with a safety pin, for example, and just leave this on hold, because now we're going to make this braid. Now to make the braid, you need to just cut the yarn in pieces of 40 inches more or less. That is the length I use. You can measure the one you want, the length you want, but this is, I think, quite ideal for this size of bag. For if you're making the smaller bag, it can be maybe 30 inches for each piece of yarn, more or less. So I am using the 2 colors here and 3 pieces of braid. Okay, so each one in the cream color are made with 12 pieces of yarn, because this is worsted, but in this case, that is DK, a little more thinner, I use 16 pieces of 40 inches of yarn. Okay, so once you have them both, the 3 pieces ready, both color but 3 pieces, okay, you just put them in some place you can hold them for a minute, okay, to stop them, and start making the braid and make this long braid. Once you have the braid ready, you have to make 1 knot on each side. Okay, 1 knot here all together, and this one, another one in the other extreme. What is important? To leave a tail, a big tail of, let's say, more or less 8 inches on each side, 8 inches. Okay, once you have the braid, you need to find one of the knots and divide, mixing the colors, see, like this, and divide them in 2. Once you have divided them in 2, you have to insert them with the yarn needle to one side one half and to the other side the other half, just in the point you were marking with the safety pin. So once you pass them, you make a knot, and to the other side another knot. So this is the way it is going to look. It is important that you have a very firm knot, so you don't have pieces of loose braid here or even here. See? And you have to make exactly the same with the other side. Once you're finished, you need to align the tails. Cut them with the length you want, okay? Now, in order to protect your bag, you can make a fabric envelope, okay? 2 pieces of fabric, sew them and put them inside, and then with a whip stitch just put them firm next to the edge. In this case I didn't do that. I just cut all the ends because I think I'm gonna make that later. But right now this is the look it has. I would love to see your resulting bag, small or big. I would love to see a small one. And let's see each other in another free webinar. Next webinar will be in a month and will be about this, you know, mandalas made in the Caillou pin loom, and then finished with knitting, crocheting to make different purpose hats. Okay, so let's see in another free webinar. Bye bye.